us over here. Make yourselves comfortable. You can get up and get food and drink anytime. Seattle, and we love doing this mixer, and we love having you all join us, and we also love being here at KEXP. We'd like to thank Tamara and Michelle for having us all the time. Really love working in this space, and they are absolutely fantastic to work with. So tonight it is my honor to introduce you to Sharlese Metcalf, if you already don't know her. She is a longtime DJ. She's a music commissioner. She is a co-founder of the Tough Fest. She runs the education programs here at KEXP now. She's really an icon in our city, so we are super honored to have you on this stage tonight, Sharlese. Take it away.
Hi. I feel like that speaker is so little for my voice, but I'm going to deal with it. Thank you all for coming here. It means a lot to be able to talk to you about something that I care so much about. Today, I'm going to talk to you about keeping your passion alive while taking care of yourself. And I've titled my speech, Self-Care and Activism, Ways of Living and Surviving in the Music Industry. So how many of you wake up and think about what you have to do that day? How many of you, yeah, show of hands. How many of you find it challenging to find time for yourself and almost feel frustrated by the fact that there isn't enough time in the day? I find, thank you for participating. I find this to be a constant conversation between my friends and colleagues, and today I'm going to discuss ways that you can incorporate self-care while caring about the immediate music industry world around you. I'm going to start off with a song that I really like, so excuse my rapping. March on, everybody needs to step front, and I'm going to be the only one to take a step back right now, and I bet everyone think I'm whack right now. Ego Slave, she cleans up on the mic somehow. These are words of Do Normal's Ego Slave, a song that I listen to quite often, and it's because it explains my thoughts and feelings on self-care. I started listening to KEXP on the cusp of KCMU, and I remember listening to the morning show and finding it unbelievable that a radio station was playing Shiva Motto and Built to Spill at 6 a.m. My career started at KEXP in 2005, and I started volunteering, working the front desk as a receptionist, and I also got to review CDs, and I also did hospitality for Audioasis. And I came from Green River Community College in Auburn, and I had taken the broadcasting program there. And I hosted the local show there, Local Motion, for about 3 years. And when I got the opportunity to work at KEXP, it was a huge event for me, and I knew that this was the place that I wanted to be. I wanted to work at KEXP forever, and I was inspired by the people that worked here. I saw their passion for music and the organization, and I felt like I fit right in. KEXP fostered my career, and they gave me opportunity. While working on Audioasis, other opportunities fell into place, and I never actually went to school for the jobs that were given to me at KEXP. I had people that believed in me, and I was lucky and honored to have that. While working here at the station, I was ambitious, and I knew that I wanted to make a living in the music industry. When I started volunteering and interning at KEXP, I was still in school, and I was trying to make ends meet, and I was working 3 jobs. I worked at Jones Radio Networks, a syndicated radio station that's still active today, and I worked at a community radio station that broadcasted Spanish-speaking and religious programming, and I also worked at a coffee shop. And I was really tired, And I knew that I needed to survive and reach my goals, so I needed to work these jobs. And one day I fell asleep monitoring some programming, and I woke up to some alarms that I couldn't control. And a teacher in college told me once that you're never going to make it in the music industry unless you get fired from one of your jobs. So I'm still here at KEXP. That was about 13 years ago, so I think I've made it. Well, on the road to discovering the music industry, I just kept working a lot, and I was just always busy. A couple of jobs that I worked at the High Dive booking local shows, and I worked at Kill Rock Stars, setting up an online radio station for them. And at one point in time, I was managing bands and setting up shows for them, and I thought that I was going to start my own management business. I kept pursuing my dreams at KEXP, and opportunity came slowly here. My first real job here was I worked 3 hours a week on our Audio Oasis community partnership shows, and those no longer exist, but I was able to book bands and coordinate logistics for the shows and work closely with nonprofits. And I remember thinking, wow, that's so cool that there's a lot of people in Seattle that are doing really great things, and I was amazed that there was a connection to music and that KEXP could do that, and that was something that I never forgot. Next came DJing. I knew that I wanted to be a DJ at KEXP, and there was a day that a DJ called in sick to Audio Oasis, and I was given my first opportunity to host the show. And I remember the very first song that I played on the show. It's a song called Chi-Town by Lois, and that same evening I did my very first in studio with Gabriel Teodros for his album Love Work, which is an awesome album. And it's just really interesting how things come full circle, because Gabriel is now a DJ here at KEXP, and he's one of my biggest inspirations for survival and activism here in Seattle and at KEXP. I wasn't full-time at the station for years, and I kept volunteering and working small hours here and there, and I just worked my butt off to move in and around the organization with patience. And I wasn't patient at all. I was ready to get started, and I was ready to take the bull by the horns and make noise, but to be honest, I didn't even know what that meant. And in the end, I was just really busy. I started to become impatient, and I was frustrated. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was just working a lot, and I had no money. And my boyfriend at the time, that I was dating at the time, was supporting me, and I'm an independent woman, so that was really hard for me to accept. And my skill set was all over the place, and I was all over the place. And in the end, I was just tired, and I knew I needed to hone in on my direction. And I had mentors along the way that would offer up the best advice, and a couple of them being Cheryl Waters and Riz Rollins. Stay strong, be patient, work hard. And I realized at one point in time, it just dawned on me that where I came from, and I'm a child of a single black, hardworking mother of 2 kids. And we lived in West Seattle in the High Point Projects, which doesn't exist anymore. And we were poor, but my mom was really good at not letting us realize that we were poor, and she would give us gifts and say things like, "You're beautiful, you're wonderful," and those really meant a lot to me. And we did things like go to the laundromat, and we would just make the best of it, me and my sister. And sometimes we would wait at the bus stop for hours when our car broke down, and we made the best of that. And sometimes we would go to work with my mom because she didn't have a sitter, and we would play on the floor at her office, and we would make the best of that. And sometimes we would go to support groups coordinated by my mom for abuse survivors and be taken care of by a volunteer. And we made the best of that, and we had to, we had no choice. My mom is a survivor of spousal abuse and has worked ever since as a domestic violence abuse advocate, and now a survivor of breast cancer. And she has worked hard my entire life, and I really think that I learned all of these skills and attributes from her. Stay strong, be patient, work hard. Today I'm the education coordinator here at KEXP, and I'm a rotating DJ of the show Expansion, started by Riz, Kid Hops, and Masa. And the trip to get here has been really long. And recently I retired as host of Audio Oasis in September of this year. And I also let go of working events here at the station, which is my original career direction. And I decided to just basically make a major career change. And as of this year, I am part of KEXP's community programs team, working almost a year in starting education programs at the station. And I have since joined Northwest Film Forum's board and become a Seattle Music Commissioner. And I'm also an active member of the Tough Collective. And I get to DJ in clubs and promote above and underground events in Seattle. And I've come to realize that while I'm still ambitious and determined and passionate, I care a lot, and I still just get really tired. Stay strong, be patient, work hard. I've come to face many challenges. I don't go to bed at the same time every night. My schedule is all over the place. And eating can be challenging. Sometimes I eat on the go, and that doesn't make me feel good. And people ask you for things all the time as a representative of KEXP, and sometimes that can be tiresome and sad, even though you want to talk about their music and you know that your opinion means everything to them. Sometimes you just feel tired of just representing yourself. You just want to go out and just be yourself. And that can just make you feel really sad, but it's just hard to disconnect. And I work all the time. I'm always thinking about work whenever I go out, and I'm always representing KEXP. And I remember one day I was shopping for yoga pants at Goodwill, and a person came up to me and asked me if I worked at KEXP. And she was very nice, and she told me that she loved my show, but it startled me because I was in the zone of looking for yoga pants, and I was listening to Pavement over the speaker, so it just took me out of the zone. But I appreciate that she came up to me, and it's a balance. I really, in the end, I just care a lot. I care a lot about people and how they feel. I care that people reach their goals and their aspirations. I care about amplifying POC and non-male identifying voices and transgender and non-binary voices. I care about young people and amplifying their voices, and I care that the organizations that I represent reach all of their goals. But along the way, I had forgotten to care about myself. Deciding to let Audio Oasis go was one of the biggest changes that I ever did in my life. Audio Oasis was my identity. It was my everything. I will always love that show. It'll always be a big part of my life, but I had to let it go because I knew that it wasn't my time anymore, and that it was somebody else's time to be a voice for the local music community. And I could feel myself moving in a direction where I needed to use my voice and skill set for other areas in the local music community that needed my help. So I made a total career change, and everything this year has turned over. The opportunity to work on KEXP's community programs was real, and it meant that I could be a part of changing the culture here at KEXP through empowering youth voices and working with artists in a different way, through equity and accessibility, and I'm still reeling from that opportunity that I have right now. And I work with a wonderful team of individuals that are just really great. Susan James, who's the community programs manager here, Alina Santillan, who's the outreach coordinator, and Ji-Young Dobbs, who's the volunteer manager. And something else that happened this year is I broke up with my boyfriend of 2 years, and while that could not mean anything to you, it was a huge heartache for me, and I'm still dealing with it now. And one of the things that really happened is it really affected my work, and I broke down. And I thought the only way that I could survive was with distractions, and I cried a lot, and I was really depressed. I disliked myself, and I just didn't know what I was doing, so I started to treat myself really bad, and I couldn't stop. I just didn't know how to stop. And my friends and colleagues were here for me, but it didn't matter because everything they said just went in through one ear and out the other, and also I just didn't like myself, so it was really, really the worst feeling ever. I'm gonna get into self-care and activism now. all while dealing with the changes in my life, I kept going. And I want to talk about what self-care means in two different ways. Self-care means different things to different people because we all take care of ourselves in different ways. We all have had different experiences that have led us through our lives. To me, self-care is taking care of your mind, body, and soul while elevating your passion and creativity. And what does that mean? It means finding self-sustaining practices like being a part of a community or building community, being physically active, saying no, delegating, meditating, asking for help, allowing yourself to develop, allowing yourself to cry, advocating for yourself, being grateful, and breathing. And how did I learn these things? Through trial and error, being open to making mistakes, understanding my emotions and my responses to life's challenges, becoming more aware, breathing, my friends and family and colleagues. So I'm gonna get into a little Macklemore thing here now. So Macklemore wrote a song about Vipassana, and in the beginning of the song, he has the Dhamma, who's the lead teacher, and he has him say this quote: Vipassana is the science of mind and matter, how the mind is influencing the body, and later how the body is influencing the mind. And then in his song, he says, I don't control life, but I can control how I react to it. Student of the breath, brick, beats, and balancing. Desire versus truth until I find happiness. So in September of this year, I let everything go, and I dropped it all for 10 days to go to Onalaska, Washington for a silent meditation. And it was one of the hardest things that I've ever done. So I'm gonna give you an idea of what happens at the silent meditation. We all wake up at 4 a.m. every day to a bell, and we meditated 7 times a day for 10 days. The bell told us when to eat and sleep and meditate, and I started to hate the bell. We ate 2 times a day at 6:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. And new students are students that haven't taken the course before, and old students have taken the course before. So the new students could eat a piece of fruit and have tea or milk, and this is around 5:30 at night, in the afternoon, night, evening. And old students could only have tea or milk. And women were separated from the men, and one of the things that is interesting is they teach you a technique, and the technique is you focus on your breath. I don't know, has anyone ever been to a Vipassana before? No, okay. So you have, okay, so you know where I'm at. Yeah, a little piece, okay. So they teach you a technique, and you focus on your breathing. You take your breathing from here to here, and then you start salivating the inside of your body through different styles. And everything is attached to a sakara, and I hope I'm saying that right, and they're all attached to feelings on your body. So as you salivate parts of your body, you start to feel sensations, and the sensations are attached to deep thoughts. So sometimes you'll feel like a blissful vibration, or sometimes you'll feel insects crawling all over you, or sometimes you won't feel anything at all. And meditating all the time, the way the technique happened, it just kind of turned on my brain, and I started to get really bad headaches. And it made me feel like I had drank a ton of coffee. So everyone is on a schedule. You basically wake up at 4 a.m. and then you are supposed to go to bed at 9:30 p.m. And every night at 9:30 I couldn't sleep because I was so wired. And I was told that that is an effect of the meditation process. So it was just kind of hard for me because I couldn't go to bed until almost midnight. So I was kind of freaking out because I knew I had to get up to that bell at 4 a.m. So another thing that happened is you can't talk to anybody, so we couldn't talk to each other. And the only person that you can talk to is the assistant teacher. and you had to schedule time with them, and you could only schedule about 5 minutes at a time. And that was really hard because when you start to process the feelings that start to come up, you have no one that you can talk to. And talking to the assistant teacher for 5 minutes is just like kind of not enough, but that's the point because you're doing self-work. And I remember there was this one day when I was in the meditation hall and I was wrapping up my blanket that I was using to cover myself, and I actually hit someone in the face. And I felt so bad because I couldn't say, I'm sorry. I just had to let it go because we couldn't talk to each other. And another story is we have this like a eating hall, and everything is set up buffet style. And I would always go to the eating hall, and I always had a spot that I would sit in, and I just designated that as my spot. So one day I went into the eating hall, and there was somebody in my spot, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll just get there early and for lunch, and I'll get my spot back because I know she knows that that's my spot. And I got to the eating hall early for lunch, and someone else was in my spot, and I was like, you know that I sit in this spot. But I couldn't say anything. And I realized suddenly that I had conflict with people that I've never spoken to in my life. And that was a really big changing point for me. And I realized that I needed to become more aware and open up to my surroundings and get rid of those conflicts and accept. And one of the things that they keep telling you at the Vipassana is accept the teacher, accept the practice. I didn't accept the practice until day 4. I remember waking up and being just mad. I was just mad, the bell, the schedule, everything was just getting to me. And I scheduled time with the assistant teacher, which was really a good process for me. I don't know if I would have lasted if I didn't schedule time to talk to the assistant teacher every other day. And I should also say that the assistant teacher is the physical teacher that is actually there guiding you through the practice. The Dhamma is on a video, and there's guided courses that teach you what is happening every day with the technique that you're learning. And I had told the assistant teacher on that day that I had woken up on the wrong side of 4 a.m. And on day 5, I was just mad again because I realized, I was like, what do you mean that I have the same amount of days to be here that I have already been here? And I had to keep telling myself, accept the teacher, accept the practice. And then I just did everything I could to do that. And you just have to work hard there. And I relearned working hard. And I practiced, and I listened to the bell, and you can only take 5-minute showers. I love taking longer showers. So I took my 5-minute showers and at 9 p.m. and I just tried to go to sleep as best I could. And another thing that I want to mention is they only have designated walking areas. Like, you can't do yoga, you can't exercise at all. So I would walk all the time. Every time there was a break, or even after a meal, I would just walk to just basically keep myself on point and tire myself out so I could go to bed. I'm not even sure when I became social justice Sharlese. I just remember the feeling of wanting to take care of people of all ages and their art. And I really needed to find a way to be a voice for them. And I wanted people to know that someone was looking out for them in a cool organization, and that one day they could be here too. I didn't want them to move away from Seattle anymore, and I didn't want people to feel like KEXP was inaccessible. And I realized the only way that I could be that voice was through my work. And so I'm gonna go through some mission statements for some places. So TOUGH. TOUGH is a collective that focuses on uplifting marginalized folks, including people of color, women, queer, trans, and gender non-conforming identities. We challenge white cis male power structures within electronic music, art, and media by creating spaces to connect and collaborate. KEXP. Commitments to the community. We pursue our programming and remain relevant to music lovers of all ages by producing one-of-a-kind content and experiences. that will deliver by world-class distribution methods. Seattle Music Commission. The Seattle Music Commission and the Office of Film and Music work towards the realization of the City of Music 2020 vision by cultivating partnerships, developing policy, and facilitating connections between the community and the music industry to make Seattle a place where musicians thrive, communities are strengthened, and music businesses flourish. Through these organizations, I have been given a voice. I've been able to care about the community and find equitable, accessible opportunities for the Seattle music community to embrace, find opportunity, and take action. My work is important to me, and I get to work on things like sexual assault and anti-harassment prevention, affordability, equity, amplifying youth voices and give them opportunity, accessibility for artists, body positivity, trans rights, and I get to keep the ongoing open conversation of creating safer spaces through our Mastering the Hustle series. Today, I am the education coordinator at KEXP. I'm the workshop manager for Tough Fest, and I'm the only female on the expansions crew. And I represent a small piece of what the Seattle music industry can look like as a woman of color in radio, representing leadership. And I have to take care of myself so that I can inspire and motivate. Awareness comes from experiences. Awareness comes from culture. Awareness comes from your friends and family. Awareness is self-love and self-care. I've always said to myself that I want to make an impact on the Seattle music community. I don't need an award for it, I just want to see change. And I want to be there always to support. When I was at the meditation retreat, it wasn't a retreat. I went crazy and I didn't know what to do. I had no phone, no access to email. I just went nuts. And I actually devised a plan to get out of there, and I thought if I call my best friend Annie and our other best friend Dave, they would come get me, and I knew that they would come get me. I knew they would try to convince me not to leave, but I knew if I was like, please come get me, they would come get me. But then I realized, yeah, oh my gosh, then I'd have to check my email, and then I'd have to explain to all of you why I left. I didn't want to do that. So I stayed for the 10 days, and at the end of it, there was this crazy feeling that I felt of true happiness. And I remember going back to the room that I had, and I was just crying because I was just so happy, and I didn't know that I could ever feel that way, and it was wonderful. My heart is my work. My heart is creating programs and making the community more aware. My definition of activism is caring for your community and being open to making mistakes and listening to people. That is how I serve the community, and that is how I serve you. I have learned to say no to some things, but I have definitely become more aware of myself and what my community needs. And I urge you to try the following. I've come up with 26 ways of self-care while working in the music industry. And I came up with 26 because when I was doing the outline, I went from A to Z, so. Okay, so wake up and don't look at your phone. Take a walk instead. Don't answer emails right away. They can wait. Take walking meetings at work if you can. Don't sit in a room with walls. Pack your lunch with healthy, yummy things and eat your lunch away from your computer. They can wait. Write fan mail. Write a short letter or text to someone that you love that inspires you and tell them that you appreciate their work. Compliment someone. I have found that when I tell someone something nice, the impact is that it makes me feel good and them. Journal thoughts of gratitude. Meditate and breathe. Exercise. Do yoga. I do and DJ yoga quite often. You should come. Listen to your favorite songs and dance alone, like Dunar Mal's Ego Slave. Massage your creativity. Make a mix of your favorite songs. Eat with intention. Cook your favorite meal. Plan ahead to do so. Address positivity at your organization. It's easy to get frustrated at work by things that happen, but make sure to talk to your coworkers and find ways to be happy. Find the good work of others happening in the world, especially in the Seattle community, and send them to people. It can inspire and motivate positivity. Find ways to turn the upside down right side up, meaning if you found something that's sad or bad, find a way to bring people together to amplify your voices. Keep educating yourself, take a class. Learn to say no without explaining yourself. Acknowledge yourself and your strengths and consider your value. You're great. Know peace. Respect, be kind, and forgive yourself. Be intentional and always know where you're trying to go. Use your intuition to navigate better. Always trust your heart. Support live music. Going to a show can mean the world to an artist, and in return will make you feel good. And to be more real about it, support the arts. There are so many great artists in the Northwest, and if you need help finding cool things to do, Artist Trust has a great calendar full of statewide events to support. You can also find out about grant applying workshops and more there as well. Clean your space to your favorite album. It can be a trip to experience actually how an artist creates an album from start to finish. Spend time with your friends and family. These people are some of the most important people in your life, and they will provide epic support. Look up. Everyone looks down, but have you ever tried looking up? A teacher in college recommended that to me, and it changes your perspective, and you might learn something. Know that the world revolves around each other, and without self-care, there is no activism, and that's how you make an impact. March on, march on. Everybody needs to step front, and I would be the only one to take a step back right now. I bet everybody think I'm whack right now. Ego Slave, she cleans up on the mic somehow. Thank you. What do I do?
Sharlese, would you like to invite questions?
Oh, okay. Questions? Looking for the questions. Questions? Yes, Brian.
So when it comes to saying no and also self-treating yourself, something that I found, I don't know, maybe some people realize it or not, is giving a license to be selfish. Because as you are involved in the community, you're so used to giving yourself to others, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes a hard dialogue for you to actually accept, well, I want to be selfish. Right? But it's a very specific kind of selfish, I think. So I was wondering, is there an experience that allowed you to have that specific dialogue to say, you know what, I need to do this, and therefore, F this person or this perception I have of this reality I need to do, and I need to do it. It can be a very hard thing to go through. And some people don't have those tools to actually recognize that and do it. So is that something you can share?
I mean, you live in your body. You own your mind. You own your soul. And that will never change. And I think the word selfish, in a way, I think it's a very powerful word when you're talking about yourself. And I think that all of these things that I've come up with, and even some that I haven't come up with, I think, in a way, some of them can be considered selfish because you have to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, there's no way that you can take care of anyone else. So you have to do whatever it takes to take care of yourself. And if that means being selfish, whatever that means to you, embrace it. Does that answer your question?
Sure.
Okay.
Was there a specific experience that allowed you?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I would say sometimes I have to let KEXP know that I just need a mental health day. I think that's battling with being selfish. You know, it's like, okay, I do need to go into work and I do need to do these things, but honestly, I really just need to take a break from it all. And I think that could be on the line of considered selfish and feeling bad about it, but I think without having a mental health day, you can't do anything else. And I think that like having your job like give you that opportunity, I think is really powerful. And I would also say, when I was doing Audio Oasis, sometimes I would ignore requests. Or sometimes I'd be on a roll and I would be like, this is the best music ever, and I'm playing it for you, and you should like it. I mean, I wouldn't say that, but I would just play it, you know. So I think that's selfish creativity for sure.
We all heard you. We like it.
Yeah, okay, good. Any other questions?